Thanks for joining us at the news desk for the Energy Storage Association's 2019 conference and expo here in Phoenix, Arizona. My name is Mike O'Neill. I'm a lawyer with the law firm K&L Gates, and I'm here with Tim Ash, Market Director for Fluence. Tim, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much for having us.
Can you tell us a little bit about Fluence and how Fluence got into the energy storage game?
Yeah, absolutely. So Fluence is the leading global integrator of battery-based energy storage solutions. And what we provide to customers around the world is fully integrated battery-based energy storage systems and a full suite of services to support those projects, whether it's maintenance, lifecycle management of the projects, even financing and training wrapped around those. Fluence is a fairly new brand. We were launched officially in January of 2018. We're a joint venture that brought together what was ESA Energy Storage and what was the Siemens Energy Storage businesses. So that brings a very unique combination and background from an owner-operator perspective, from ESA as a global power producer, and Siemens, of course, being a global powerhouse on the product and engineering side. And so we've brought those capabilities together within Fluence, and we work with customers around the world. We can deliver solutions in up to 160 countries, in part by working through our Siemens partners.
So in the last couple of years, how have you seen the market change? You know, as Fluence has ramped up its joint venture effort, how is the market evolving?
So I guess I would describe it as we are truly in that hockey stick growth, right? So the market has transitioned just in the last couple of years from a lot of conversations with customers about what is energy storage, why should you use it, what are the values it provides, how can you make money with it? So a lot of education into now customers who see the value, they understand it, and they're moving forward on projects, right? And so from that early education, kind of smaller projects, to where we are now is both larger projects, a lot more volume of projects that are actually going to get built, get commissioned. And so just the growth in the market is really exponential, particularly here in the US. And so I think we made the move at the right time. We kind of scaled up to meet what we thought would be that growth, and we're absolutely seeing it in spades right now.
So what are a couple examples of the types of projects that you're seeing get through the development process, and then maybe a couple that are still in the pipeline and ramping up that hockey stick? Yeah,
it's a good question. So I think what we've seen is an evolution in the kind of use cases for energy storage. So if you look even 3 or 5 years ago, right, there was a lot of projects that were single use, looking at ancillary services, things like frequency regulation in the PJM market got a lot of attention. Those are generally high power, kind of lower energy applications. As the price of battery technology continues to come down, then you start seeing a shift into longer duration projects. So for example, California was the next big wave. So larger megawatts, longer duration, higher energy systems that look a lot like a peaker in the energy storage system. And so in California, Desert Southwest, you're seeing more and more of those kinds of projects really meeting kind of peak capacity needs. Now I think you're seeing just an evolution into a whole broader range of use cases or applications. So utilities like National Grid or Eversource working on T&D applications. You're also seeing on the West Coast. There's been a really big push for distributed solar plus storage projects in states like Massachusetts and New York. I think North Carolina, maybe South Carolina, you're going to see more of that as well. And so from the range of different places you can use energy storage, you're really starting to see that diversity of projects getting purchased and getting built.
And so in the solar market, we saw kind of slow early adoption, but then dramatic growth. Do you think we're seeing something similar in this energy storage market?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So a lot of people will say energy storage now is where solar was maybe 2010 timeframe. And I think that's a pretty good analogy. One example, if you look at just project size, right? So ESA Energy Storage, again, now part of Fluence, or rather I should say AES, the parent company, was awarded a contract for 100 megawatt, 400 megawatt hour system through Southern California Edison, the Alamitos project. That was really a watershed moment. That was 2014, and no one had seen energy storage at that scale before. For the last 2 or 3 years, a project at 10 megawatts, 20 megawatts was still very, kind of at the leading, among the biggest in the marketplace. In the last 6 months now, the number of 100, 200, 300 megawatt projects that are coming into the marketplace, either through a developer or through utility, has really grown. And so I think you're starting to see, it really reflects a true understanding, true adoption of energy storage as a solution both in the bulk energy system and then distribution levels as well.
Well, so Fluence is obviously a result of a major strategic decision by the two parent partners.
Yeah.
And so you have to think, well, they must have seen something coming down the road in the next 3 to 5 years. Where do you and Fluence think the market is going over the next medium to longer term?
Yeah, I think one, it's really just a continuation of that trend. So where you see the very large individual projects, again, that's kind of storage meeting peak capacity needs. Again, Desert Southwest, you'll see that. I think maybe potentially in the southeast of the US, you'll start to see some of that. New York is moving that direction with the Con Ed procurement that's coming this summer. So that will continue to expand. I think what you'll start to see mature much more as well is transmission and distribution applications. So how to use energy storage to replace a traditional kind of poles and wires solution. There's a lot of initial vanguard projects there. I mentioned National Grid and Eversource. Companies like an AEP or other wires-only utilities in particular are trying to figure that out. And so you'll see onesies and twosies now. I think that becomes programmatic within the next 3 to 5 years. Behind the meter is really starting to take off as well. We don't play in the residential space, but that's grown quite a bit. We do serve large industrial and commercial companies. So that, again, will continue to grow as cost declines, performance improves for energy storage. It just opens up more and more of those use cases.
Yeah. And what role do you see data and analytics playing in the market as it continues to evolve?
Yeah, I think it plays a very important role. And so we, with Fluence, we've been deploying energy storage projects for more than 10 years now. And we sit on a set of data, very high fidelity operational data for more than a decade. So we've actually launched a digital team now, which is mining that information to be able to use it to drive decisions like how do you optimize performance, how do you reduce maintenance costs for an energy storage system? For example, optimizing HVAC loading. How can you start to try to predict degradation based on a particular use case, right? So how do you make the decision on, is that next cycle worth it today based on the market revenue I'm going to get, or does the cost of that potential degradation not make sense? So we're definitely leveraging that data. Again, we sit on I think it was a very unique asset in the industry, and you'll see that played out more and more in the industry going forward as you have really digital solutions like energy storage that can take advantage of it.
Great. Well, thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Thanks for joining us here at the news desk at Energy Storage Association's conference in 2019 here in Phoenix. Thank you.